welcome to the 101 on Sports. I'm Randy Karraker. Good to have you with us here on Fox 2. It's always great to talk baseball here on the 101 on Sports, and we get to talk to one of the best Cardinal broadcaster, analyst Brad Thompson. You see him on Bally Sports every night with the Cardinals with Chip Caray. BT, thanks for taking the time.
Randy, thanks for having me, man. I wish we had more fun baseball stuff to talk about, but boy, there is a lot to hash out.
What in this struggling start has surprised you the most about what the Cardinals have had to endure here in the first half?
You know what, honestly, if I had to pick one thing that has surprised me the most, because everything has been pretty surprising, to me, it's the lack of consistent offense that has been surprising for me. Because I really did think that coming into the season, we all had different ideas of where this team could get better. Many of us pointed to, hey, the rotation, you could use a front end guy, that would really help. And many looked at, hey, is Contreras going to be enough? Is that going to put you over the top? But the thing is that I looked at this, and especially with the addition of Wilson Contreras, you have the MVP in Paul Goldschmidt. You've got Nolan Arenado. We've seen great strides made from Nolan Gorman, who is an all-star. I mean, what a year he is having. To me, the fact that that group is not consistently putting up big-time runs, that is a shocker to me. For all the other issues that this ball club might have, whether it's starting pitching in the beginning of the season was struggling, bullpen recently has been struggling a little bit. If I had to pick one, man, that's the one for me. I really thought that this offense was going to be able to hit and really cover up some of the other issues on this roster.
BT, you mentioned the name of Wilson Contreras, and we've seen so often here in St. Louis where a big money guy will get off to a bad start, whether it's pressure or whether it's a new environment. We saw it with Holiday. We saw it with McGuire for a short time. We definitely saw it a few years ago with Dexter Fowler. His first year was very rugged. What do you think it is that ails Wilson Contreras? At least we knew coming in that he'd be a good hitter, and his offense has really struggled.
Yeah, man, and that's the surprise, right? Like, you knew he wasn't going to look like Yadier Molina behind the plate, and we all know the issues that have popped up this year. He was taken out of the position for a while. He was DHing for a couple of weeks and then eased back into action. And in all fairness to him, I actually think that he's looked better behind the plate in largely. You paid him that money for the bat. You paid him that money to be an impact person in the middle of the order. The problem is he's still hitting in the middle of the order, batting fifth, usually night in, night out, and he's not producing. So I do think that the point that you laid out, Randy, is a very valid one. We've seen it in the past. We've seen it with Cardinals. We saw it. Remember the Rangers 2 years ago? They went out and spent all this money on Marcus Semien. They bring in Corey Seager. Both of them kind of had down years in their first year. And then this year they're tearing it up again. Boy, I don't know if the Cardinals can wait an entire year for Contreras to get settled in. But I think that with that big money, that big contract, comes big responsibilities, and they can weigh heavily on you. In talking to Contreras recently, look, he's trying to simplify it. That's what he's trying to do up there. He's trying to not think, and especially with runners in scoring position that the Cardinals have had an issue in June with. He's saying, man, I'm just really trying to not put any pressure on myself, trying to let the game come to me. But it's easier said than done. You get in the spot, you want to be the hero, and he's hitting the ball. That's the funny thing. He's hitting the ball. His contact rate is higher than it was last year. His hard hit rate is higher than it was last year, but he's just not getting the hits. That's the maddening part for Contreras.
Yeah, and then another part of this is that your opening day outfield essentially hasn't been there, right? Tyler O'Neill, Dylan Carlson, Jordan Walker. Walker gone for a huge portion of the season because of the trip to the minors. Both Carlson and O'Neill dealing with various injuries. And there's a reason that the guys that are playing in place of those guys weren't there on opening day, because they just aren't as good. I know it doesn't sound logical, but the fact of the matter is, one of the reasons that the Cardinal outfield has struggled is because it hasn't been there.
And you're absolutely right. And look, you can point to O'Neill and say, look, he wasn't producing when he was out there. It's fair. But that was a gamble that they took, is that, hey, we believe that if we put him out there, he's going to look more like 2021. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to be out there. The back has been an issue. You hope he comes back. Dylan Carlson, since coming back, has looked very good and has helped solidify some things in the outfield. He's got very good instincts in right field. I still think that he profiles better as a corner outfielder than a center fielder. And really the revelation of the outfield has been Tommy Edman going out there and playing center field and playing it like he's done it, Randy, his entire career. Talk about a guy that's got the instincts, can go get a ball in the gap, can come in on the ball, has taken command. That's what's really impressed me the most, is how vocal he's been in center field, which is a necessity for the position. But you're right. I mean, you look at the overall numbers in the outfield, Randy, it's a bad outfield. Like, here's the thing, if you're going to be a light hitting outfield, which they have been to this point, you better be like the best defensive outfield. They haven't been. They've been one of the worst defensive outfields because you got a lot of guys that are injured, to your point, and guys playing out of position and learning on the job, which it happens, but they're also not hitting as a group. That ends up being a big issue. When you have your entire outfield that's one of the least productive groups in the game of baseball, it's hard to have sustained success.
I know Tommy Edman, you mentioned his success in center field, and he hasn't been a great offensive performer, and he's probably not going to be a great offensive performer. I still look at him, though, as a core player. He's just, and you've played with guys that are just ball players, and he seems to be like one of those guys.
Yeah, I do too. I absolutely agree with that, Randy. I don't care if he's, leading off against a lefty or if he's batting ninth. To me, he provides a lot of value defensively, obviously with the versatility, which the versatility might end up stopping because of the way he's playing center field. Like, I think they're very comfortable plugging him in center and letting this ride out. We'll see what it looks like when Nootbaar ends up coming back healthy, when O'Neill ends up coming back. But I think we've got a little bit of time before those both happen. But you're absolutely right. You got a switch hitter with speed and versatility and just the way that he goes about it. And that's the thing with him. He is just so prepared. He is so ready all the time.
And that brings me to my next question and last question about position players. You've seen every one of Jordan Walker's games at the major league level. From what you visualize from his skill set, if he's that guy that watches Paul Goldschmidt every day, what could Jordan Walker be?
Yeah, he's got a chance to be incredibly special. And there's nothing has changed my mind in the first couple of months of his big league career that we talked about all offseason long, all of us hoping that he would have an opportunity to make the big league club when he did hit his way onto the team. But I think that the biggest key for him is just continuing to grow on the job. And how do you do it, Randy? You get at bats, you get playing time, you're out there every single day. So defensively, he is not the greatest outfielder yet. He's 21 years old. He just turned 21 and just last August started playing the outfield. It's going to take some reps. It's going to take some time. And offensively, if he continues to keep hitting the baseball hard, I know we've talked a lot about him getting the ball in the air, and the Cardinals do want that. And look, let's be honest, that would be very nice to be able to hit more line drives, right? Forget the launch angle talk like of getting the ball up, just line drives. That's what you want to see more of out of him. But he's going to keep making adjustments as pitchers make adjustments to him. Right now, everybody knows the scouting report against Jordan Walker. You're going to try to, if you're a right-hander, you're going to try to slider him down and away. And if you make your pitch, chances are you're going to get him on the ground or you're going to get him to swing over it. Now, the lucky thing for Jordan Walker right now is he hits the ball so darn hard that if you get him on the ground, he's got a chance to get a hit on some of these pitches. But he's going to start letting that ball travel more. He's going to start catching him out in front and getting him up in the air. But he is a sponge. He's asking questions. He's watching how these guys work. He's going to continue to get better. He just needs to continue to get these big league reps.
We have run down the position players. BT was a terrific pitcher. 57 and 2/3 scoreless innings, right? Back in the day?
Look, one time? Yes, you got the number right. Usually I like to correct you. Sometimes you leave off the 2/3, Randy. But yes, that was a lot of fun.
So BT is going to talk about the starting pitching, and we'll hit the bullpen, and then where this team is headed later in the show. Right now, Brad Thompson with us from Valley Sports, and of course, this is the 101 on Sports on Fox 2. More coming up. Welcome back to the 101 on Sports. I'm Randy Karraker, joined by Brad Thompson of Valley Sports tonight. Great to have you with us here on Fox 2. And BT, you mentioned early on that the starting pitching of late has been better. And I think sometimes we look at the first month, we look at the first month and a half and say, okay, the starting pitching is bad. But they did really turn a corner. Now, it's not old school. I think the first thing we need to point out is that this is not our dad's or even your starting pitching. Starting pitching is so different now than when you pitched in the major leagues 13 years ago.
It is. And I think it's a really good point because that's one old school Cardinal fans are watching the games now. I guarantee it. Somebody's going to be watching this and saying the same thing. It's like they don't go deep enough into games. Look, amen. Okay. Like I'm with you. I agree. Look around baseball, though. The Cardinals are right there, actually near the top of their starters going deep into games.
Mm-hmm.
So bullpen utilization has been so much different. You understand why teams are doing this. The numbers do bear it out to end up being important. When you got four guys that trot out of a given bullpen that throw 100 with ungodly breaking stuff, yeah, you're going to want to use those guys more often than not. But the starting pitching right now for the Cardinals has settled in a bit, Randy. And that's the maddening thing again right now for this roller coaster season that the Cardinals have had. When you see the last couple of weeks of the starters putting up good numbers and getting a little bit deeper into games, and then the bullpen has its cracks, and then the offense isn't getting it going. That's frustrating. But if you're a starting pitcher right now and you look at a guy like Jack Flaherty, who has been really good here as of late, and who was looked at, another guy that they took a bet on, a bet of, hey, he's going to be a front end of the rotation kind of guy. You just got to keep going out there and put in the work. You can't worry about what the offense is doing. You can't worry about what is happening after you come out of the game. Just like when the starters were struggling earlier, the offense couldn't worry about that. Like as a team, you just have to take care of your individual job. But I love the way that Jack's throwing the ball right now. I think he has been more confident. I think that he has attacked the zone. And what I really like seeing with Jack is on a given start, when he doesn't have one of his pitches, and we saw it a couple of starts ago, he didn't have a really good feel for his slider. Well, he went to his curveball, and then he started stealing strikes with that. The game progressed. He got better feel for his timing and his tempo. Adjustments is what this game is all about. I thought that he has made some really good adjustments. Miles Mikolas has been incredibly consistent. We've seen Matthew Liberatore take a step forward here recently, had a short outing against the Rangers, a really good one against the Giants, giving the team a chance to win. Like all of these pieces are starting to come together a bit for the Cardinals. And I'm not saying that at the end of the day, Randy, that this starting rotation is going to end up being the strength of the Cardinals, but it shouldn't be the biggest weakness with some of the pieces that they have.
And let's touch on some of the individuals. You already gave us a good scouting report on Jack Flaherty, but I think one of the things even I expected with the second half of 2019 that he would be able to replicate that. That's not real. It was one of the best halves that any pitcher's ever had in the history of the sport. What we're seeing now, what Jack Flaherty is capable of being.
Yeah, I think so. I think Jack Flaherty should be looked at as a consistent piece in a rotation. Like that's what he should be. Does it mean that every game is going to go exactly like he wants it to? No, but I think that we're finally starting to see a healthy Jack Flaherty and a confident Jack Flaherty. And that's the biggest one. That last part is very, very important. We saw Jack in the last couple of years, and understandably so, as he was going through some different health issues. The shoulder was bothering him. He just wasn't right, where he would wear it out on the mound. Like you would know when Jack was defeated before the score said so, because shoulders were slumping. He didn't have that confidence out there. Right now he does, even when things aren't going well. And we have seen Jack, we've seen the better velocity out of him. And I know that he had the little back and forth in Chicago with the assembled media when he was asked about his velocity. And in fairness, I thought that the question was very relevant, as in that game he was 88 to about 91. And he got mad about saying, look, you don't know pitching if you don't know about messing with velocity. I think that in that game, if he had more, he'd have given more. Don't know, whatever it is, what it is. But we've seen him do that now. We're seeing him really toy with his velocity. We'll see him hold back 96 when he really needs it in a spot. And when he's trying to steal a strike early, it might be 91. Like, I like that. I think that he's just got a really good feel for what he's doing right now.
And I have to believe when you specifically, because of your skill set as a pitcher, you must love watching Miles Mikolas pitch.
I do, man. I love watching somebody that can throw any pitch at any time with a crazy amount of confidence, right? It doesn't matter what Contreras or Kisner or whoever puts in the pitch comp. You're going to see Miles do this. Okay. And then just throws it. Like, he just believes in what he does. And you look at his pitch arsenal, the way that he uses everything. I mean, he uses like 4 different pitches right around the same amount. And that as a hitter, you think about that, you think about tendencies and trying to time things up. he's a very difficult guy to time up because of the ability that he has to throw all of these pitches in different counts for strikes and for chase. And then he likes to finish off hitters oftentimes with his fastball up in the zone. I think that's something we forget about Miles Mikolas too, because he's got such good feel for his slider and his curveball. He actually throws pretty darn hard. I mean, he runs it up there 95. We've seen 97 on the gun from Miles as well. And I love the fact that he's been a workhorse, a guy that gets deep into the games. He works fast. Nothing bothers me more than a starter that works slow. Now, the pitch clock has expedited that a little bit, but Miles Mikolas works fast anyhow. I really enjoyed watching that. I was glad that they signed him up to the extension before the season started, because you need a little certainty in this rotation going forward. As we know right now, the only guys under contract next year that are starters are Miles Mikolas and Steven Matz, who's technically in the bullpen right now for the Cardinals. So they needed that. But I think that Miles is a really good guy to look at in the rotation and say, all right, look, if I have the confidence in these pitches, throw strikes, get ahead. That's one of the things that bothers me too a little bit when the starters are struggling. It's nibbling, it's falling behind. Miles fills it up. He uses his defense behind.
All right, BT, one other starter, and then we're going to talk about the stretch run here, the second half of the season. But we haven't mentioned Adam Wainwright at all yet. We've watched Adam all year long. What is he at the age of 41?
Adam Wainwright is still an artist out there. Like he is, to me. Waino's not going to go out there, and he'll probably do it next start and give you nine innings of one-hit baseball. Like, chances are that's not what he's going to be. But Adam Wainwright is more creative than any pitcher that I have ever seen, and he's able to make adjustments that other guys can't make. There's given days where he doesn't have something. He finds something else, whether it's he leans on his cutter, or he leans on Uncle Charlie, or he throws his fastball more, or he, as we've seen him recently, totally moves on the rubber from left side of it to right side of it to give that different perspective. And that messed up the Rangers. Marcus Semien talked about it. It's like, man, that threw me off, the way that the pitch was coming in. He has the ability to do that other guys can't. And to me, the other thing with Waino is that leadership ability that he has when he's out there. He's a leader no matter what. Even when he was hurt on the IL with the groin injury, he was always there for his guys. It's different when that guy is going out every fifth day and he's fighting with you and you watch him do it. And if I'm a young Cardinals starter, or if I'm any of these guys with big stuff, I watch Adam Wainwright go out there and throw strikes with 86, 87 and be aggressive. And I think to myself, why am I nibbling? Like, why am I not going out and attacking like that guy? So to me, Adam Wainwright is a constant right now of a guy that you just know he's going to give you a chance out there. I don't believe he's going to dominate the opposition, and I know he believes he is going to every game, and that's exactly what I want out of my starting pitchers. But at least you know what you're going to get with Wainwright.
Brad Thompson with us on the 101 on Sports here on Fox 2. The Cardinals have struggled. We're going to find out if they can turn it around. Next, stick around. Welcome back to the 101 on Sports. As we head down the stretch, Brad Thompson, you can hear him quite often on 101 ESPN, still a huge part of our team at 101 ESPN, and of course, the analyst for the Cardinals on Bally Sports Midwest with Chip Carey. And BT, the Cardinals have spent the better portion of this first part of the season double-digit games under 500. We always hear about how they're in a bad division. What do you think? Can they turn it around to the point where they would be a playoff team?
Yeah, that's the thing. They absolutely can turn it around to where they're a playoff team now, and it is because of the division. Randy, I mean, you watch this game. You watch the Cardinals a lot. I know you go home, you're watching all these other teams in the division as well. The Cardinals do have a chance, but they can't worry about the deficit that they're at. They can't sit here and just say, wow, look, we're 8.5 games back. You have to go do it every single day. You have to dig in and find ways to win games. And to me, that's where the confidence comes in. That's where leadership comes in, too. And I think that a lot of the Cardinals have good leaders. They don't have vocal leaders, though. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt, as we talked about earlier, he's more of a, follow along. Nolan Arenado, I think he's got a little bit of it in him. But I feel like other guys maybe need to step up in that role. And I don't know who that is. Maybe it's a younger guy that really is just ready to do that. But I feel like there needs to be a little bit more fight on a day in, day out basis. But this is a very, very winnable division, Randy. You just need some consistency out of this ball club.
Finally, let's just assume that we get to July 31st, and this would be obviously a big assumption. We get to July 31st in the trade deadline, and the Cardinals are within 3 games of 500, and they're, as we speak, they're 13 games under. The Cardinals would play 10 games over, go 20-10 because fill in the blank.
They would play 10 games over because, first of all, they clean things up as a team and they're playing consistent baseball. But the main thing is their offense is beating the doors off of everybody. To me, that is how this team gets out of this, is that they outslug the opposition, that they go on a run, that they have bats that the opposition goes to bed afraid of. And I think that they have that core, that group, but that's what's going to pull them out of it, in my opinion.
BT, I appreciate that you are making sure for us as viewers that it's still a game. At the end of the day, it's still a game. And sure, there have been some miserable times, but games are supposed to be fun, and you keep it fun. And I really admire what you and Chip do.
Well, I appreciate it. You do the same thing, and you have been forever. The thing is, we all watch baseball, I hope, as an escape, right? It's something that you want to enjoy doing. These games have not all been enjoyable, but we can still ride this roller coaster together. You'll point out the bad stuff, you look for the good stuff, and ultimately the game is in front of us, right? But you can never go wrong, in my opinion, Randy, having a positive attitude. I know you feel the same way.
Absolutely. Hey, it's always great to hear your insight on the Cardinals. Thanks so much. And you've got the podcast that you do with 101ESPN.com, and you're on the station every day. So if people want Brad Thompson content, it's there for them.
Well, people are sick of me by now, but I appreciate that, Randy. I love jumping on with you and always enjoy talking ball with you.
I love it. That's Brad Thompson from Valley Sports. And, of course, you can hear him throughout the days on 101 ESPN. I'm Randy Karraker. Thanks so much for joining us on the 101 on Sports. We'll see you next week here on Fox 2.